That's right. Well, as a caster, I try to be not biased as much, but if I were to pick my favorite matchup, it would have to be ZVT. It's the all-time classic StarCraft matchup. Alien versus human. Yeah. Well, what about you? Okay. Right. Mhm. That's right. Right. That's right. This map, just based on the statistics and the opinion of the pros, Acolyte naturally favors the Protoss in ZVP, and that is because when a matchup is set like that, Zerg naturally gets the third base anyways. But if the Protoss can secure their third base fast, then that's a good thing. And Acolyte is the kind of map where you can get a third base up really fast. So this massive economical advantage can allow all sorts of crazy builds, like one Oracle, three Nexus, fast transition to carriers. A lot of these tactics are especially viable in Acolyte. And for these reasons, I would say Protoss has the lead in this matchup. Yeah, right. You're a Zerg player yourself, right? Would you actually agree with me? Because I'm just talking for the statistics and how the pros play it, but in ladder that might be a little bit different from your own personal perspective. Oh boy. Right. Yeah. Usually I don't really like to face Lingbane Hydra because it is a terrifying composition as a Protoss player. Good Protoss players, they can do it with good harass, good multitasking, but for me, I prefer to go in with a adept heavy focus, that kind of attack. Getting back and forth, that's my style of Protoss. Oh, definitely. But the thing is that if you use Warp Prism, it requires yeah, it requires a lot of skill. Spawn in the bottom left. It is from Team Vicious Killers. It is Ranger. Oh, I didn't know that. So he actually played Terran before, but now he's. Do you know how long he has been switching his race for? Right. All right. So far, we have a very fast scout with the Protoss probe, and it's very interesting because on a map this large, you usually tend to bypass the possibility of cheese because it kind of takes so long. But especially as a Zerg, like there isn't that many kind of cheese that you can pull out from the beginning, right? Especially when you block that ramp off with just pylon and gate. Right. Yeah. And there's like one more cheese I can think of, the 3 Ravager from one base, but that isn't really good against Protoss. It's more like a ZVT. No, it absolutely is. So with the forlings, yeah, nothing particular is strange going on. With usually some Zergs tend to skip gas, go for a very fast third hatch, but nothing like that. So games are going very standard, right, as of this moment. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I personally am a huge fan of Overlord speed in this matchup, mainly because, like you said, Protoss definitely has a lot of variety in their builds. So if you get even one stalker and if you don't have Overlord speed, that can be a massive challenge to get the right scouting done. Hmm.
Oh my, guys. A little bit of a mistake there. My mic was actually muted that whole time. Um,
Oh dear.
so I'm so sorry about that mistake there, guys. Has been sorted now, but good thing Sluggy doing a really good job of casting so far and is covered from my terrible mistakes.
That would have been a little bit awkward, but yeah. So, anyways, glad to have you back. Right. So, with the correct placements of the spore crawler and the queen, nothing much done. But it's very important that this oracle stays alive because with it you can tag with revelations. You can also harass further with the stasis ward. It provides so much utility, and with that, it provides the right transition into a fast third exit.
Yeah, yeah. There's no way like Zerglings can really deny the fast third. Like oracles are just such a good defense against it. And yeah, certainly the revelation, keeping tabs on the Zerg army.
So interestingly enough, the Protoss option is to go into Twilight, and I'm guessing the first upgrade would be, yeah, the attack speed. Will they save it? Oh, unfortunately.
Yeah, very close there.
Having 2 oracles is really good because with it you can kill the drones with one click, one shot. You can one shot, one kill.
Oh, really?
And furthermore, yeah, it takes 2 ticks to kill a drone with an oracle. So it is like from the Protoss player's perspective, it is so much better to work with 2 oracles, and that means more energy for stasis wards.
True, that's a very good point. Did not realize that. Yeah, and stasis wards are very, very important. I mean, if you don't break those down as Zerg, it also locks down your larvae. So not only do you not mine for a bit, but also your production just gets hammered.
Oh, absolutely! I absolutely despise that, and I hear that they're going to change it in the next patch after BlizzCon.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, yeah, just locking those larvae and those eggs down, that's just too much.
Yeah, it's a bit overkill. Oh, this queen's actually really low health.
It's flying on a tightrope.
Yeah, it looks like it ran out of energy there.
Yeah. Trying to get something done, but okay. I'm not sure if this is a good decision because these adepts don't have attack speed.
Yeah, good point, and that's a really good surround on the drones. And Zergling's going to be able to clean this up.
Right. I don't think the drones was necessary because, oh my goodness, I think that's too much of an overreaction with 43 lings on the battlefield out already. But yeah, like we have talked about, you brought up the point that Zerg players shouldn't really, overreact. They should make drones and the appropriate amount of units to defend as the time goes on, right?
Yes.
And I think this is what, unless Igas really planned it, this isn't really a good decision. Because with every lings, that means less drones.
Yep. And it looks like he's going to go for a bust, but how do you think it's going to work against this amount of sentries? But oh, hold that thought. Zergling's getting a big surround on the sentries, but clutch force fields there.
Yeah, the reaction was a little bit late. 3 sentries did go down already, and that's a nasty loss.
Oh wow, these zealots sneaking into the main base.
I'm trying to do something with the Hydralisk. Hydralisk, of course, very weak to zealots without any protection. But if you could actually just look at the supply, I mean, I hate to use this, but just in terms of supply, it's I guess it's already way ahead.
Look at the supply, Todd.
Yeah. I'm ashamed to use it.
You gotta embrace the memes sometimes, eh? But 3 immortals. It's really interesting that mainly dropping the main, getting 9 probes. But yeah, 3 immortals. It's interesting that that's going up against Lingbane Hydra. But do you think it's to kind of soak up some of the banelings, or?
Yeah, definitely good against the banelings, and I'm not sure if that will give him the opportunity to survive this fight. Hydra's very good against the immortal, especially when the immortal count is low.
Yeah, but good micro there by Ranger, pulling back into weakened mortals, but a big whooping of Zealots. They do have speed, so starting to take down some of these Hydras.
Right, all the Hydras should go back. Now, the correct way to trade against when you have Lingbane Hydra is that when the Lingbane that is tanking for the Hydra is depleted, you have to move your Hydras back, because they are expensive units. You want to keep on trading the Lings and maintain that Hydra number, so you can keep fighting.
Yep, you're definitely right there. Once that Ling buffer is gone, Hydra's really squishy, especially against those Zealots.
Right. But it just seems that this timing attack is hitting way too hard for the Protoss player here.
Yeah.
There it goes, GG.
GG. I almost feel like, a big culprit there was the, the 9 probes going down to the Overlord drop. And also, I think the Oracle probably not doing as much damage as it probably would have liked.
That's true. When you see the spores being built, then that's kind of like this sign for the Oracles to not try anymore, because it gets really risky. And from that, the Protoss player has to shift its tactic. The utility of Oracles from just harass to more like map control. Revelations on the Lings and Stasis War, so your base is protected.
Yeah, exactly. So from like an offensive role to a defensive role as well, because it can defend the third base, like you said.
That's right. And while I don't want to spoil too much for those of you who haven't watched the BlizzCon group stage, Neeb was absolutely amazing with those stasis wards. So if you haven't watched it, that is something that you can look forward to. If the Oracles, if you don't find the opportunity to harass with it, then you can use it like Neeb and just put stasis ward everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And just especially if you get a chunk on like Hydras, and it just takes out so much of the DPS of the Zerg, you can really walk over that. All right, so
definitely.
we go
Stasis.
Oh, no, do.
Oh yeah, you finish.
We do have a ZVZ up next. I was going to ask you your thoughts on that, but no, do tell us more about the stasis, man.
Yeah, just yeah. So when the stasis ward is placed all over, it's always very much a paranoid feeling. I'm sure you get it too when you face certain Protosses in ladder. When
Yeah,
you send that Ling one by one, you start triggering those stasis wards, but like at certain moments, you feel like there's too much, and then it
yeah,
just delays your timing, and that gives the Protoss players more time to warp in units with their gateway cycles.
yeah.
So
That's
that's
so true.
a certain element. Yeah,
And you spend so much time triggering them off that it gets to a point where it's like, I just want to engage him, and that's when the Protoss
right.
player, that's what they want.
That's true. Lingbane Hydra does have a shelf life, and every time the Protoss player gets, that is more time for storm energy, more gateway cycles, more tech, more upgrades. It's just the ideal situation for the Protoss to buy more time.
Yes, yes, you're absolutely right. In fact, I remember casting a game where the Zerg player maxed out on Lingbane Hydra but didn't trade for a couple of minutes. And it got to the
Hmm.
point where the Protoss built, the perfect army, and the Zerg player just GG'd out without even attacking. He realized that's it. The shelf life, as you said, just has expired, and my army can no longer trade.
That's right. While a Lingbane Hydra is a terrifying composition against the most matchups, but the problem is that if you are not going to attack, then that means those Hydras have to serve a purpose.
Hmm.
And one of that is to just having Lingbane and Hydra means the Protoss players won't attack you because they're kind of scared of it. They need time to get their composition. If the Zerg player isn't going to attack with Lingbane Hydra, what they can do is tech up to Hive and even get Broodlords. And these are some of the options. But if you're not going to do either of that, then the Protoss player is going to counter that Lingbane Hydra with time.
Absolutely. Though I would say one thing that Zerg could do is morph lurkers from their position.
That's true.
And I have to say, like, Lurkers plus Broodlords is fantastic. You just put them under the Broodlords, and whenever the Protoss tries to jump on them, just bam, Lurkers, man. But that's really tough for the Zerg. And all right,
Lurkers
guys,
are definitely terrifying, yeah, for
they
Protoss.
certainly are, and even in ZVZ. So we're jumping into the ZVZ here of Schnitzel versus Kaiser. It's going to be on the map. Odyssey. So we got another Odyssey ZVZ.
Right. What are your thoughts on doing ZVZ in Odyssey, Nancy?
I reckon that just change overlays there. ZVZ on Odyssey is one of my preferred maps. It's one of those straight up maps. There's very little on it that can kind of throw you off, except for the hidden gold
Right.
base.
Yeah.
Don't think we're going to see it out of either these two players, but definitely is an option. Now, you said you play, so you obviously play all three races.
Yeah.
What's your preferred ZVZ opener?
My ZVZ, it's actually very lazy, and it's basically straight up to roaches.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to agree
just
with you there.
skipping that Lingbane phase by building up a Great Wall and going to roaches as soon as possible. That's my lazy way of doing it.
It's the lag safe build. But anyway, spawning in the bottom right hand corner as the light pink Zerg from Team Varun 5, it is Schnitzel.
Alright, spawning in the top left, it is from Vicious Killers, Kaiser Sows. Alright, so we have another ZVZ, and it seems that Kaiser Sows is going for a 12 pool. 12 pool.
And he's going up against a 17-17, so gas into spawning pool. This is an interesting one. This is a really interesting one. Have you? So you go straight up to roaches. Do you open up with like gasless or?
The thing is that you have to get gas pretty fast to get that layer so that you can get that roach speed. But the trick is to get the pool first, and then when the pool is halfway done, that's when you take the gas.
Right.
That allows a better allocation of resources. You are able to mine minerals longer, which means you can get that wall with less resource loss.
Yeah, and getting the extra queens as well is super important for that style.
That's right. At that point, larvae is so important for roach-based attack. But anyways, here in the game, like I've said before, whatever counters 12 pool is a greater pool. So like a 12 pool would be countered by 18 pool.
Yeah, definitely.
Because 18 pool is doesn't lose out that much on the economical advantage, but it's also very safe.
Whoa, Schnitzel is not taking a natural base here. So just going for a pure Ling timing attack by the looks of it, and this might just catch Kaiser Oz off guard. You know, he made those initial Zerglings and hasn't done anything, and now he's up against Speedling plus no Baneling there, so just mass Speedling by the looks of it.
Yeah, that is interesting indeed. And the Spine Crawler, I'm not sure if this was the best choice, because if you start with 18 pool, the greatest strength about 18 pool is that it's the best balance between greed and safety. And with safety in hand, I'm not sure the Spine Crawler was necessary, but it will definitely pay off if Kaiser Soze decides to attack heavily later on.
Yeah, like as a harassment deterrent kind of thing, right? Ooh, Queen getting surrounded here, but not enough Zerglings by Schnitzel by the looks of it.
Now, Schnitzel has Ling Speed, while his Kaiser Soze does not. Ling Speed in ZVZ provides a tremendous role, and I have seen my fair share of games and streamers where players just leave the game because they forgot to get Ling Speed.
Yeah, that's 100% right. And if you don't have that wall off, you know, if you're going up to say faster roaches, then you're really screwed then.
Yeah, that's right. Now, these Lings are able to get a good engagement, but with the overinvestment of spines, now he has to take a more careful approach, because these spine crawlers are very deadly against these banelings.
Yeah, in fact, I've actually seen some players use 4 banelings to focus fire the spine crawler just to kill it quickly, so your opponent has less DPS in the defense.
Oh, that's right. That is very crucial.
But this setup here looks really good by Kaiser Oz.
Yeah, if he can get those 4 banelings in between the spine crawlers and just detonate it right away, then that is getting 2 birds with 1 stone.
Buy one, get one free as well.
Yeah. Oh, but now it's too late. He has spent the... Yeah. And he actually cancels these, so he is pretty confident. He's now building that wall, and yeah, now it should be good as long as he just continues to drone on.
Yeah, speaking of droning, Schnitzel only just now catching up in terms of drones. So that attack not really paying off very well at all. And in fact, with the later hatchery, I have to say that Kaiser Oz is taking the better end of this deal.
Right. Now, in terms of advantages, we see an immediate supply difference in favors Kaiser Soze. And furthermore, he's actually going to the Roach tech. Lingbane is good early on, but you cannot stay on Lingbane forever because roaches are tanky and they do high damage. So Schnitzel has to do something to gain momentum. And right now, it just seems that with a huge drone difference, he should start a third base or Ling drops or something. He has to make something happen.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You cannot stay on Lings versus roaches. You'll trade so poorly. Sometimes you can get +1/+1, and in low numbers you can take on roaches.
That's right.
But Kaiser Oz, all he has to do if that's the case is just turtle for a bit longer and build up a bigger roach count.
That's true. To follow up on Nancy's point, Schnitzel has +1 armor. Now, +1 armor is a game changer, but only when it comes to Lingbane because
Sluggy!
Actually, here comes a tiny leak in the wall.
He slips on by. He's gonna get the queen in this completely undefended base. There's no speed. As you said, man, no speed. GG.
Oh, that was just painful as a Zerg player myself. Now, when you are going up to roaches, there is a tiny window of vulnerability that you have to secure it. And the option that Schnitzel went for, no, not Schnitzel, Kaiser Soze was the wall with the evolution chambers and the roach ward. But it was so essential that he had to block it with a queen. And he even had 2 spines to defended well, but that was just such a shame.
Schnitzel buttering his Zerglings up, battering them all up so they just slide on by. And
Yeah.
Kaiser caught off guard there.
I'm actually I'm sure that Schnitzel wasn't really expecting that much of a success. Like he was just sending those lanes because he wanted to do something with it, but it ended up winning the game for him.
Yeah, it really did. And something I kind of just noticed, I don't know if I've already said it already, but Varun 5, their entire roster right now is just Zerg.
Oh,
so
that's okay.
Really interesting that they chose Schnitzel to do the ZVZ there. So they must have trusted that his aggression was really good in ZVZ. Now jumping into so jumping into the next map here of Demilove versus Jumbo. Demilove is a really good macro Zerg, so it's interesting that they put him up against the Protoss player. We might be in for quite a game here, quite a nice macro game.
Ascension to Ire definitely encourage us a long game map because you can split the map in half, take up the left side, the right side, and then have a long game from there. And we actually saw really long games in BlizzCon group stage today, so that is definitely a possibility, just like Nancy said.
Yeah, certainly. All right, getting the players in now. Everyone is ready, and we're going to be starting without further ado. As you said, jumping into Ascension to Aya with Demilove versus Jumbo. Junbo, I should say. Bit of a mistake there. I keep thinking like Jumbo Protoss, so he just wants to get a big armory and steamroll across the map.
That's what I thought first. I was like, yeah, Jumbo. Wait, no, that's an N.
Anyway, introducing these players, spawning in the top left-hand corner, representing Vicious Killers, is the blue Protoss. It is Jumbo.
Spawning in the bottom right, it is from a team of all Zergs. It is Varun 5's Demi. So like you've said, Demi is renowned for his macro skills, you said?
Oh, very much so. I sometimes call him the Gundy Zerg, where he just kind of loves to sit back and defend for as long as possible before he moves out and crushes his opponent.
As a Korean, I mainly watch Korean games, Korean pro games. And when I did manage to get some foreign games, the most immediate difference is that foreign Zerg players really like these pacifist long macro games. I gotta say, they're pretty good at that.
They certainly are. And yeah, I mean, vice versa, when I see Korean games, I'm like, my god, they're so aggressive. How do they do this? But yeah, though, there is certainly something you have to get used to about the much slower paced game. And it's more about cost efficiency than it is about like harassing your opponent and getting inside their head.
Yeah. Yeah, it used to be that foreign Zergs were just straight down less better than Korean Zergs. But now I think the opinion is quite changing. I think Korean Zergs have something to learn from foreign Zergs and vice versa. And that is just great for esports.
It certainly is. In fact, it was Stefano that actually pioneered, a lot of the Zerg back in Heart of the Swarm. So it almost seems like foreign Zergs kind of make some big change in the meta, and the Korean Zergs like perfect it and like turn it into this fine weapon.
Yeah, and it's interesting because now that we have region locks, now that the players have their own environment, their own ecosystem, it's very interesting to see how foreign Zergs develop their own sense of style, I should say.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to how the BlizzCon goes. It's just the clash of styles between these Zergs from the opposite end of the world. It's just so exciting.
It really is. It really is, and there's something that I get really excited about too, man. Is that the clash of styles, right? Especially when you get when a lot of Chinese players hit the scene, and it was like, whoa, this whole new meta that no one had seen before, taking people by storm, was really exciting.
That's true, and we can't ignore the Chinese players just because they're new. Time player is really good.
Yes. Time actually used to play in some of the OSCs, and he would just come in and dominate people. And so I was really, really happy to see him play in some bigger tournaments and do really well. I was like, yeah, my little boy from the grassroots, showing the big boys what's up.
I definitely enjoyed cheering for him too. Yeah, when he was in GSL, like that was an amazing moment.
Yeah, certainly was. All right. Well, in terms of openings, Demi opening with a lot of speedlings, and it looks like he wants to put some pressure out on the map. Ooh.
Right. Ooh, I think did the Protoss player caught that?
Yeah, it was close.
You can show like 6 to 8 links, that's fine. But if the Protoss player sees that many links, then he has to get real suspicious of either a Baneling bus. Okay, he's seen it.
Yep.
He's playing carefully.
Yeah, exactly. With the pylon hard wall off here, the Oracle staying at home. Now, this is
a very good decision.
Yeah, it really is. And now Demi's in a tough position because he just committed a lot of Zerglings that aren't drones.
Absolutely. Yeah, to follow what Nancy said, if you make that many lings early on, then that means you're not going to have that many drones. And immediately you can see the difference in the drone count. Actually, some drone lings did manage to get in.
Yeah, so I was actually starting to wonder to myself, why did Demi get Overlord speed if he's going to be aggressive? Well, here we go. Right. Overlord speed drops. This is really cool.
It's actually a 2-star gate though, so he's going to continuously make oracles, and on the other hand, he's going to make
This is way too much damage, and you're right. Oracles would kind of annihilate what Demi tries to do, but that worker kill is huge.
It's just too much. It set the Protoss back way too much. If he just could hit the unit tab, it's 35 probes compared to 49 drones. Now, initially I thought that making that many lings, surely that's a economical damage in itself. But with this comeback, Zerg is definitely on the lead as of this moment.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it caught Jumbo off guard there. Demi, I mean, that's the first time I've seen Demi go for this build, so he's preparing something nice and special today.
Right.
Oh, wow, continuing.
And I like how you... yeah, his probe skills just stack on, and if you just look at the total amount of units killed, 16 probes have gone down. Now, as of this moment, before the 6-minute mark, that is huge.
Yeah, actually, 1 Zergling for every probe. That's a Zerg's wet dream right there.
Yeah, exactly. That is cost efficiency in itself. Now,
speaking of cost efficiency,
right. These oracles will have to do something impressive to swing the game back into the Protoss favor. But yeah,
this flavor of Protoss is disgusting. That much I gotta give you. And look at this. I mean, they're just gonna kill the Spore Crawler, but actually, with the 5 queens,
it's not so good.
Yeah.
Like what? 3 to 4 oracles went down. Oh, that is a tremendous loss. You have to maintain your oracles count, because when Zerg hits the lair timing, which is already done, and produces Hydras, you need a certain amount of oracles, or else the lings and with Hydras are just going to attack your third base.
Yeah.
And there's nothing going to defend that.
Yeah, exactly.
But, interestingly enough, he's going for a Spire.
Yeah, and also Jumbo switching gears and making carriers, so both players, mixing it up here. I almost feel like
going for... Yes?
I almost feel like Jumbo maybe got a bit over eager earlier with his oracles. Obviously definitely. He had to get damage done, but Demi with so many queens.
Yeah, and there were two spore clones. Oh, if he just activates one pulsar beam or both. Okay, yeah. Both.
There we go. Lasers.
Yeah, these happen. Oh man, these kill counts do count. But anyways, back to the Spire. Now, with the mass oracles, there are two ways to counter this, and one is Hydra with infestors, but it's not really as good, especially. But you do that because you go with Lingbane Hydra anyways, and then you kind of adapt into Hydra infestor. And the second way to do it is the heart of the swarm composition, which is Ling Muta Corruptor. You beget Corruptors, and they just tear through Phoenixes and Oracles if you manage to catch them. And that's why I say it's not going so good for our Protoss player right now, because if you have carriers, and there's 10 Corruptors on the way in the production tab, then these carriers are just gonna not be able to reach that critical number.
Exactly. And I mean, when they do, they can melt through, infinity Corruptors, but it's at these low stages that they're the most vulnerable. And yeah, 10 Corruptors going up to 16. I think Demi's going to have a good answer to this.
More and more Corruptors are being built, and I love how he's getting the armor upgrade. It's like he knows that he's going to face Corrupt carriers.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Obviously, Interceptor's doing a lot of small hits, so having the armor upgrade just kind of exponentially gets better.
Yeah, and Corruptors are very naturally tanky units. They have 200 HP each, so they are the perfect unit against carrier.
They literally are the flying tank of the sky.
Right. Okay, and the Corruptors swoop in. The Stasis War will do nothing. Oh, he has to get the overcharge to protect carries at all costs.
Oh man, those pickoffs there by Demi are just a little bit too good.
Yeah, the Corruptors are dominating the sky right now, and just if these carriers go down, there's no hope for Protoss to stay in this game anymore.
if Zerg could drop a mule, this is it.
Yeah, that's true, actually. If the Corruptors are doing nothing, and like the best thing they have to do is to just spray random buildings, even a photon cannon, that's pretty much a GG scene there.
Yeah. No, actually, one thing to keep in mind, something I always forget, is there's actually a really long cooldown for the corrosive spray. So
oh, that's true.
It actually is kind of smart for Demi to split the damage, as he knows that they won't be cleaned up anytime soon.
Yeah, no, the Corruptors they do have an inherent flaw, and that is that if the Protoss army does decide to attack with a heavy ground-based army, then the Corruptors will do absolutely nothing.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I mean, the best they can do is, like, what, kill one warp prison? But that's about it.
Yeah, they go from flying tank to flying paperweight very, very quickly. And I think that's why it's very important for the Zerg to get that Greater Spire in case that transition does come.
Absolutely. With the max supply and plenty of resources to spare, if he just goes into Hypetech with Greater Spire, then it immediately puts on so much pressure on the Protoss army.
Oh, here's that Muta Corruptor you were talking about. Now that he dominates the sky with the Corruptors, the Muta's going to be able to put on some nice harassment damage.
Right. Once you have a certain amount of Mutalisks, Stalkers stand absolutely no chance, unless there's a huge amount of them. So with the Mutaling, he should be able to harass really well.
Yeah, it's going to get tough, especially with Jumbo doing his best to try and remake his army, but I mean Demi's just done such a great job of just trimming it off. Right,
but what's also interesting is that Jumbo is still going for carriers. I mean, with the Corruptors, you would think that the Protoss player would give up, but no.
Determination, if I've ever seen it.
Right. But let's hope that this determination isn't foolhardy. If he needs an air unit, it would be Void Rays more than anything else. Yeah, here comes another Lingby, and that's what he can afford because he's nearing max supply.
Yeah, but in classic Demi fashion, his harassment derping out a little bit. But yeah, this might just be too much for Demi in general. Just Corrupt is owning the sky.
Right. I think transitioning into mass void rays would not be the best choice, but it would still be a better choice than carriers, considering how void rays are the counter to corruptors.
Yeah. In a way, it's almost like he's going full NA. I must make carriers, but yeah, not really panning out. And this is kind of something that I was kind of expecting to see out of Demi. Just more of a slower macro-based game, and it's working pretty well here against Jumbo.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed out that Demi is a macro player, because when we have that information, then we can also gain insight to the fact that Demi was able to twist his usual playstyle and go for a very aggressive opener early on, which is something that Jumbo didn't expect.
Yeah, it certainly was. But here we go. Jumbo going to come out to the middle of the map.
Ooh, that's a lot of storms. He has to use them very carefully, and beautiful storms on the Hydras right there.
But here we go. This is the paperweight you're talking about. There's actually just not enough on the ground. Has Demi invested way too much into his air army?
Absolutely. Mutalisk have to be careful when they engage the enemy, because Archons can melt Mutalisk. He just needs to buy time, but it seems good because he has a lot of creep and has a lot of base. He just has to keep retreating and give up the bases as it goes, and just hit with the critical number of ground army.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Though one thing to note here is not only can the Corruptors not attack, but they're also soaking up a lot of supply. So Demi has a lot of money, but he actually can't make a lot of units because all the Corruptors.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. Now, just having 10 to 12 Corruptors, that was enough when he didn't see any carriers. But making more, that's when Broodlords really come into play. But yeah, is there a Greater Spire right now?
Hive only just finished, okay. But it looks like Demi just completely focusing on killing this ground army, and with that, when you see this, look at the supply.
Look at the supply. But yeah, the macro difference is just undeniable. Like, when you have more stuff, you will just win. And that is one of the most seen messages in the loading screen.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Every time you ladder. It's just there to remind us all.
I remember, me learning the game. I was like, I'll just get one battle cruiser. And comes along with 20 Marines and kills it. I'm like, oh.
Bad those games.
Well, there's still a lot of storm here.
Yeah. He needs Zealots right now to clean up after the storms hit. But with the 2 Greater Spires, I'm not actually sure why he needs 2 Greater Spires. Maybe he just likes it that way because he's rich. Yeah, these in Korea we call these corruptor cheerleaders. Like, once they take out the area units, they just fly there and look pretty.
I've never heard that before. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
it's almost like a.
Yeah, I guess he does take out the Nexus, so the Hydras have more needles for everything else.
Right. Yeah, the Stasis Ward didn't pay off. It's just Zerg is constantly on max supply with plenty of float to spare. So, Jumbo, I admire his tenacity to stay in the game, and he's fighting for his life, but unfortunately this was a GG long time ago.
Yeah, sadly that is the case. And I also think it's also partly, the Gundy Zerg himself is taking his sweet time, making sure he doesn't throw the game.
Right, and GG, there it is.
Wow, Varun 5 doing very well so far.
Yeah.
So that's a 3-0. Very, very quick there.
Right. While Demi was definitely a competing player, I would have to say that, I think they definitely use the most powerful player at the end to secure that victory, and it worked out well.
Yeah, it certainly did. Um, yeah, Varun 5 doing really, really well there. All the Zergs, I hope you guys liked seeing Zerg. Right. So there is two more series on later tonight. So we have SYF
Right.
Gaming versus Ape Gaming Esports, as well as the Vietnam Team League. Both their teams facing each other later on. So it's been a pleasure casting with you, Sluggy. You've
Oh,
definitely
definitely.
had
Likewise.
taught me a lot about the game and given us a lot of insight. It's been fantastic having you on.
Thank
Is
you.
it just as a last little shout out, guys? Don't forget to add $1 for free to the Matcherino prize pool. So I'll link that in the chat. So the code there is SSAC1. All you have to do is click on that link, log in, and drop in that code, and it's $1 for free to the prize pool.
Yeah. All you have to do is type in those 4 codes. It's free, and these players will get increased pool size. So, let's save esports.
Yes, certainly. Got any closing thoughts, man?
Sorry, say that again.
Do you have any closing thoughts just as we hit off on it to our have a 2 hour break? You know.
No, we've had interesting games, and I think it was definitely worth casting them. And we will soon have better games in 3 hours. So, go eat your dinner, and then, after 3 hours, please do come back. We'll have good games also available there, just as much as we've had in the past 2 hours. So, please be there, and we'll be there also. So, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, guys. We'll be right back in the 3 hours. Don't go anywhere, and we will be back.